So there's 7 things that people spend a lot of money on, and when we spend money on these things, essentially all we're doing is just making someone else rich or richer, and we're making ourselves poor. And think about this, right? If you don't have the job that you want, or you're not making as much money as you want to, or your personal finances are not in the place where you want them to be, why would you take your hard-earned cash and then spend it or give it to someone else and make them rich or richer while you're making yourself poor? Instead, you'd want to use your hard-earned money to better your financial situation instead of making someone else rich. And these are 7 subtle things, very subtle things that we all do, myself included. But in 2023, you want to stop doing these things so you have more money to actually put yourself in a better financial place. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the 7 most common yet subtle ways in which we spend our money, and essentially we're just making someone else rich and making ourselves poor. And the main idea here is that we want to stop doing these things so we have more money for the things that we actually want. Now, just before we get into that, guys, if you're new here, my name is Ian. On this channel, I talk about ways to make money, ways to save money, ways to invest your money. I talk about bank accounts, credit cards, just about everything to do with personal finance. So if you like videos like these, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. I'll really appreciate it. It's 100% free. It won't cost you anything. Also, be sure to subscribe with the notifications on. That way you never miss the updates of when I post new videos. Also, if you guys ever want to talk to me one-on-one, you can message me on Instagram. The link is down below, or I'll put it here on the screen. Well, with that said, let's jump into the top 7 most subtle things that we should stop doing so we can stop making other people rich, right? So number 1 on the list is going to be stop overpaying for luxury brands. And this could be like clothing or just about anything, right? So, you know, they have the luxury brands like Gucci, Prada, Balenciaga, all that stuff. And buying clothing there is very expensive when compared to buying clothing anywhere else. For example, I really like the Balenciaga slides. I just really like them. Now, they're probably the most ugly or the ugliest shoes you've ever seen, but there's something about them that I like. Now, I actually went to the store, and the slides, like the basic slides, they were selling for around $900. And I think they were on a sale or some type of sale then. And $900 is a lot of money. So instead, I went to Walmart and I bought some slides, and guess what? They cost me $4. Now, here's the thing. You may think that people are actually looking at you, but they're really not. When I'm walking, no one is looking at me and looking at my slides and saying, oh my God, this guy's wearing a pair of $4 slides from Walmart. People are not making fun of me. It's all in your mind. And so instead of spending a lot of money on these luxury brands and these luxury items, you could buy and get the same or very similar quality for a lot less. And the difference of that money, you can use it to do something that will actually help your financial situation, right? So instead of spending this $900 on shoes or footwear, I spent $4, and the difference, I could use it to put in an ETF or invest in the stock market, or I could use it to pay off my credit card, or I could save some money for my emergency fund. But the idea here is that luxury brands are just taking your money, and you're essentially just making someone else rich, especially if you're not in the financial position that you want to be in. Now, if you're a millionaire and you have a lot of money, and you know, buying $1,000 pair of shoes is no big deal, then that's a different story. But if you're not where you want to be financially, then you should avoid luxury brands in 2023. Now, the second thing that I want to talk about here is eating out. And the average person eats out around 5 times per week. Guys, this is one of the biggest ways that you're going to spend or waste a lot of money. It's a lot cheaper if you simply just go to the grocery store and do meal prep. Now, I get it. You may be busy and you may say, Ian, every time I go out to eat, I only spend $5 to $10. But if you start adding this up, you go out, you eat breakfast, right? Then you get lunch, then you get dinner, then you get snacks in between lunch and breakfast, and also snacks in between lunch and dinner. And maybe you even have snacks after dinner, and then you're buying water, and you're buying soda, and you're buying juices, and all this stuff. If you add up every single thing that you purchase every single day, over a month, you're gonna realize that you're spending hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on food. And if you were to take just a fraction of that money, probably like 10 to 20% off the money that you're spending eating out, you could go to the grocery store and you could get a lot more food and you could still enjoy all the things you like to eat. And so you don't have to completely eliminate eating out, but you can like cut it down. So instead of eating out every single day, you want to break out of that habit. And so you want to only eat out maybe once or twice per week. But for the most part, you want to be prepping your meals and you want to be going to the grocery store. And again, if you're not in the financial position that you want to be in, if you don't have the job that you want, if you're not making the amount of money that you want, this is one of the things that's going to be holding you back, because you could potentially be making someone else rich when you could free up that money and you could have hundreds of dollars every single month to put towards something else that will help you build your wealth or help you save some more money. So that's the next thing that you want to stop doing this year. Now, the third thing on the list is going to be playing the lottery. Now, I completely get it. You want to play the lottery because there's a chance that you could be a multi-millionaire very soon and you could forget about all your financial woes or worries. But if we think about probability and possibility, this is really not a good idea. I mean, if you do some simple research, for example, they say the odds of claiming the jackpot in a Powerball drawing are 1 in 292 million. And that's kind of crazy, right? You have almost a 1 in 300 million chance of winning. So instead of spending your money here every single day or every single week, you want to save or invest your money, because you're only making these companies richer or wealthier, and your financial situation is most likely not going to get any better because you have a 1 in a 300 million chance of actually winning this stuff. Now, by talking about this, I actually remembered something else. So I'm pulling up my M1 Finance app, and there's actually the stock that I invest in. And while this isn't one in the video, this is something else to consider, right? So people drink a lot of alcohol and people also smoke. This stuff is, probably not the best for you. I guess it's a moral decision. If you want to drink and smoke, you can. But I'm investing into this company or this group. It's called the Altria Group. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, but basically they're the ones that are responsible for like tobacco, cigarettes, alcohol, all that stuff. And so I started investing here in the year 2020, I believe. And so far for this particular stock, I'm up 44.67%. So instead of actually, indulging in vices like, gambling, the lottery, smoking, drinking, you could probably save that money, invest it into some of the companies that are doing this stuff, and then you actually get to benefit because these companies are making a killing. They're making millions and billions of dollars every single year. And by playing the lottery and doing this stuff, you don't really stand a good chance of winning. But if you instead invest into these companies, then you could actually make some money. The possibility and the probability of you making money by investing into these companies is going to be much higher than you actually spending money with them. So that's the next thing that you want to look out for. Now, the next thing on the list is going to be paying credit card fees and banking fees. And this is a big one, right? So if you go to open a bank account at, your regular bank, they're going to charge you a monthly maintenance fee, right? And they may even charge you annual fees. Also, every time you use your debit card at the ATM or when you make purchases, there may be fees. But in 2023, this doesn't need to be the way, because there are many banks and many credit cards that will not charge you any fees. So for example, there's Chime, and I'll probably leave some links down below. There's Chime. You can get a checking account and a savings account from them. It's completely free. There are no fees for the account. It's 100% free. You get a debit card. There are also no ATM fees at the debit card or at the ATM, so that's good. There's also SoFi, checking and savings accounts, no fees. There's also Discover. I really like Discover. I use that one a lot. Checking account, savings account, no fees, debit card, no fees. Also for credit cards, there are many credit cards on the market that come with no fees. Now, if you're a big spender, then yes, you may have a credit card with an annual fee because of the rewards. Maybe the rewards outweigh the fees. But if you're just the average person and you just simply want some cash back, there are many credit cards that you can get that will not charge you any annual fees. And if you pay your bill on time, you'll never pay any interest. And I've been doing this for years, so I know it works. works. So moving into 2023, you want to get rid of all the bank accounts that are charging you monthly maintenance fees and account maintenance fees and ATM fees, because you're just giving your money to these banks. And if you move to a different bank, you could actually have the same level of benefits without the bill. So that's the next thing that we want to stop wasting money on in 2023, because all we're doing is making these banks and these financial institutions richer and richer while we're not improving our financial situation. Now, like I mentioned before with the Altera group, if you were to instead take the money that you're spending on these account maintenance fees and these credit card fees, and you were to invest that into some of these banks and these financial institutions, you'd actually stand a better chance of making some money. So for example, I invest in some ETFs that have a lot of banks and financial institutions in them, and these ETFs have been going up in value every single year, or the returns have been going up every single year. And instead of spending your money at banks and with credit cards, you want to instead probably try to invest in these companies. But if not, just find banks that will not charge you any fees, because they're just getting rich and they're not sharing the profits with you. Now, number 5 on the list is gonna be a big one. This is purchasing a car that you cannot afford. And this is kind of tricky, because if you go to the car lot, they're going to approve you for a car rather that you cannot afford, but on paper they'll bring the payments down so that you think you can afford it, right? Now, the average person in America right now is purchasing a car that is valued at anywhere between $35,000 to $45,000, but the average person only makes around $37,000 per year. So think about it. The car that you're purchasing is more than what you make per year. And the rule of thumb is that you never want to purchase a car that's worth more than half of what you earn in a year. So if you're making $50,000 per year, you want to purchase a car for like $25,000. If you think about this, right? Over a period of 5 years, which I think is like standard for car loans, if your car payment, and by the way, guys, the average car payment was around $600 2 years ago. It's now at around $700 going to $800. So if you're spending $800 every single month on a brand new car, and you're doing this for the next 6 to 7 years, just think about this. If you were to buy a car that was a bit cheaper and you got your payments down to like $400 or less, and you then had that extra $400, what could you do with $400 per month for the next 5 to 7 years? Just think about that, right? What could you do with that money? Add it up and see what you could do with that money, and then maybe you'll get rid of your new car buying fever, because purchasing a brand new car, especially if you can't afford it, is going to just help you make someone else rich, and you're not really benefiting. So you want to avoid buying a car this year that you cannot afford. And now, while mentioning the car, number 6 on the list is gonna be buying a house that you can't afford. Now, I remember when I first went to purchase a house, they actually approved me for more than I actually thought that I could afford. And while on paper, they were telling me that, hey, you can afford this, you can make the payments. Within myself, I knew that if I were to commit to that, paying a mortgage of $2,000 plus per month, or nearly $3,000 per month rather, then that would kind of hold me back. And when I thought about it, like, what could I do with this extra money every single month for the next 10 years, right? So instead, I bought an older home. I have a lower payment. My mortgage payment is like $1,200 per month. And so the difference here is nearly $2,000. Now, you can ask yourself the same thing. If you're going to purchase a house, you could purchase a cheaper house or a more expensive house. And this depends on your income, of course, but just think about the difference between the payments and think about what you could do with that extra money per month for a couple of years, because that may help you change your mind. And the main idea here is that I'm not telling you guys that you shouldn't want nice things or you shouldn't have nice things, but on paper, banks and financial institutions always try to get people to purchase more than what they can actually afford. And this is why so many people lose their homes and their cars. They get repoed, they get foreclosed on, because they actually purchased what they couldn't really afford, right? So you don't want to purchase a house where you're making the payments, but then if you lose your job, and listen, jobs are secure, some jobs are secure, but you can always lose your job. Shocker, it can happen at any time. So if you lose your job tomorrow and it's a shocker, you don't want to have such a high mortgage payment that you can't make the mortgage for the next 3 to 4 months while you search for a new job. So in 2023, we want to avoid this. We don't want to purchase any homes that we cannot afford. And also, you don't want to rent any apartments or condos that you cannot afford. Now, number 7 on the list is going to be traveling to too much. And this is a big thing for Americans. People here travel a lot. People taking like 7+ trips per year. I'm also guilty of this because last year I left the country around 9 times. And looking back, yes, I went out, I traveled, I had fun, but I'm now thinking about what I could have done with that money instead. And so you don't have to go on vacation 7+ times per year. You could go on vacation twice per year. And again, I'm not telling you that you can't have nice things or you can't do nice things for yourself, but you always want to think about what it's going to cost you. So if you're going on vacation and every time you go on vacation it costs you, let's say $3,000, then you want to think about it. If I go on vacation only twice this year instead of 5 times, what could I do with that extra $6,000 or that extra $10,000? Could I put this money to use that will make me even more money, right? And the end goal here is to always have some type of assets or some type of income that you're not actively working for every single day, which can pay for your toys and your travel. So if you're currently not making enough money, you want to avoid the trap of just saving your money and then just blowing it on vacation. Instead, you want to invest your money, you want to start a business, you want to do something else with this money because, again, you're making these resorts rich, you're making the people that run these excursions rich, you're making everybody else rich but yourself. So this is a habit and this is what you want to change going into 2023. So these are the 7 simple but very subtle things that we tend to spend a lot of money on. And if we cancel some of these things or all of these things, then you could be saving a lot more money and you could actually put yourself in a better financial position a lot faster. So comment down below, let me know if you've been doing any of these things. I know for a fact that I've been doing a lot of them and I'm trying to stop, but comment down below, let me know what you think, which ones you're gonna stop doing. And with that said, all the best with making money, saving money, and I'll see you guys very soon in the next one.